guys, I'm Bethany and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. You know what time it is. It is reading wrap-up time. If you're new here, I love to read. I love books. I love talking about books. And every month I do these reading wrap-ups, specifically the past few months because I've gotten in my reading era. I've always loved to read, but the past few months I've been reading a lot more than normal. So I like to sit down and talk about all the books that I read the previous month, what I thought of them, my review, my rating, no spoilers. I like to make a little coffee for myself and talk about books. This is one of my favorite videos to film each month because I just love books, and this was a very good reading month and I'm very excited. First, we are going to change things up and we are going to look at my stats for the month of July, which are on Storygraph. I downloaded this app this month and it's so fun. It's basically kind of like Goodreads in the sense of you track what you read, but this app gives you all kinds of stats, whereas Goodreads doesn't do that. So I'm going to give you my stats. So I read 11 books this month. I read all fiction, 4 paperback that I already own, and then 7 on my Kindle. 3 of the books that I read on my Kindle are Kindle Unlimited, so you can read these for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. I love the Storygraph app, but I still use Goodreads because it's just easier to see people's ratings and the description of the book and things like that. But I really like Storygraph because you get all your stats and it's just super fun. Now that that's done, let's get into the books that I read this month. I'm so excited. The first book I read in July was The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I loved this book, gave it 5 stars. I have talked about it in my summer book recommendations video, so you probably heard about this book from me, but also probably heard about it in general because it is pretty popular right now. It is a YA romance, and this month I really dug into YA closed door romance because I love a romance book. I love really emotional, heartfelt novels, but a lot of the times they are very spicy and I don't really like that. So I've been getting into YA closed door. So basically it is about this girl named Meredith, and her and her family go to Martha's Vineyard in the summer, and basically it's the first time that she has gone to Martha's Vineyard since her sister has passed, and they're going for her cousin's wedding. So they are doing all the wedding festivities, but they are also playing a game of assassin with water guns, which is so much fun. So fun to read that. And in the meantime, she meets this boy who is a groomsman, and it's just so cute. I love this book so much. The cover is so cute. Are you kidding me? It definitely had that found family aspect because they're on Martha's Vineyard with basically the whole family, and you just kind of see the family dynamics within that. But I also like how they touched on the grief of Meredith, who lost her sister, and I just really enjoyed it. It's the perfect summer read, and also that the guy character in this book was just so sweet and so fun. So love that. Highly recommend. The next book that I read is Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. This book was so good, and it really sparked a love for celebrity / normal people romances. I love that trope. It's so much fun to read about a celebrity and a normal person, and to read about how celebrities really just are normal people. Basically it's about this girl named Honey. I thought it was Cheney this entire time, but every time I watch or hear somebody talk about this book, they pronounce it Honey. So I guess that's her name. Honey is a writer, and she gets this opportunity to write a piece on Gabe Parker, who is a huge celebrity, and he's about to be cast as the next James Bond, and people in the news outlets aren't really happy with that. So she is tasked with writing an excerpt about him to make him seem like the perfect James Bond. And when she goes to write this excerpt, she basically spends the entire weekend with him, and then 10 years go by and people are wondering what happened that weekend. Obviously Honey wrote about it a little bit, but nobody really knows what happened that weekend, and Honey is then tasked to write another piece on him, and you just kind of see what happens. It is a then and now timeline, but it's not a then and now timeline like most romances where it's each chapter is back and forth. You get kind of like a chunk of the book is in the past and then a chunk of the book is in the present, which I really liked, and I flew through this. Literally finished it so quickly, and the ending, are you kidding me? Literally so good. I loved the then and now aspect, and then you also get little like excerpts of Honey's writing in her blog and also in the article that she wrote originally about Gabe, and then you also get random little articles from different people in the news about Gabe Parker and Honey, and I just loved that. I loved that aspect. I thought it was super fun. I need to read this exactly for my notes because this is what I wrote right after I read this book. I put, it was the type of book you get lost in. I literally felt like I was transported into the story and wasn't in my house anymore. That's how you want to feel when you read a book. So that's how I felt about this book. Literally felt like I was transported into this book, and I think it would be such a great movie. It has been compared to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I don't agree at all. I guess the only really comparison is there's the writing aspect, but literally this book is completely different. This is a romance, that's more of a literary fiction. That is way heavier, and this is literally like, I don't know. I just feel like that's completely different and not as good as this book. I liked The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but it didn't blow me away, while this one knocked my socks off. So I gave it 5 stars if you can tell. Next, I tried to read Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. It was on my TBR if you watched that video, but I got like 15 to 20 pages in and realized that it's a pretty heavy book. Obviously I knew the like theme around it was to represent Jesus's love for us, but I read the back of it and I realized that it was gonna make me like, not sad, but it's just gonna be really heavy, and there was gonna be topics in the book that I didn't wanna read. So I returned that book and did not read it. So anyways, let's move on. Now I'm getting into the books that I read for my Reading Haley Fam's 5-star reads, starting with Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Haley Pham raves about this book, and her recommendation did not disappoint. I loved it as well. This one is like the typical YA romance. It's literally like every box that you want checked in a YA romance is in this book. It's so happy. Basically, I'm not going to tell you too much about the synopsis because I don't want to ruin it, and I feel like if you go in more blind, you might just be shocked by what happens. So basically, it's about this girl named Liz. She is in high school, she's a senior, and she is struggling with doing all these things as a senior without her mom because her mom passed away. And she's also really into romance movies and music, and she is really into like love stories and wants a beautiful love story of her own. If you like romance movies, if you like rom-coms, book rom-coms, if you like Taylor Swift, if you like YA, if you like anything of the sort, if you like smiling, if you like being happy, this is what you want to read right here. It also reminded me of the like Netflix high school romances, you know, those movies, those like movies that are set in high school. It reminded me of that. I just love to focus on movies and music, and every chapter starts with a romance movie quote. Are you kidding me? A rom-com quote? And I just love that. So I'm a big fan of this book, and the paperback just came out, so I think it's a lot easier to get. This one took like a couple weeks to get to me, and that was after waiting on it to restock. So it's very highly sought after, but it's because it's incredible. So also gave this book 5 stars, loved it so much. And also I forgot to tell you about Funny You Should Ask. In her like little excerpt at the beginning, it says, "For John, all my stories are love stories because of you." Stop it right now. Anyways, okay, let's move on. Now we are going to quickly go over this book because it was terrible. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. If you watched my Haley Pham Reading 5 Stars video, you would know I hated this book. I gave it 2 stars, and I've realized that I do not like thrillers in the slightest. So I hated everything about it. It didn't make me feel good. It's basically about a wedding in this like stranded island. Like no one really lives there, and they are having this wedding there. You get different points of view, like 6 people's perspectives. You are just trying to figure out who was killed and who killed them, because at the beginning of the book you are kind of given a little sneaky peek into the end of the book where someone is killed. But just some of the topics in the book I didn't particularly like. It touches on self-harm, so I would just check trigger warnings and things like that if that is something that bothers you. I just felt scared, uneasy, like just didn't like it. And I've also heard that people that like thrillers, this isn't one of their favorites. So I'm gonna need some water because my throat is hurting. Next, I read the first 2 books in the Addicted series. Oh my goodness, I'm shocked by this. I'm shocked by how much I love this series. I read Addicted to You and Ricochet. I read those in order, and then I read another one later on in the month, but I am like really surprised that I like these books. These books are basically in the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series, and you can read them intertwined, which is what I plan to do. So there's the Addicted books that are about Lily and Lo, and then there's the Calloway Sisters series, which is about the other sisters. So I read the first 2 books in the Addicted series, and it's basically about Lo, who is an alcoholic, and Lily, who is a sex addict. And when I think about it, it sounds like not for me, because as you can tell by what I've said previously, I don't like spice. I really like just wholesome, closed door, but I wanted to read this for the video, and then I ended up really enjoying it. I feel like I fell in love with the characters, and it's just such a beautiful story of like fighting your addictions and helping each other fight your addictions. I think the first 2 books are more like building up to the rest of the series. I really enjoyed them. I was kind of surprised by it. I just found myself really connected to the characters, and I feel like if the plot's kind of like you're not sure about the plot, but you like the characters, you can continue reading it. I flew through the first 2 books, and then I've been trying to slowly read the rest of the series because I don't want to read it all at once, and then also have so many other books I want to read. So I did really like them. I gave both of the first 2 books 4 stars, and I do recommend the series. Obviously, as you can tell by my description, is pretty inappropriate, but I try to skim over those parts. We're at my favorite book of the month. It's kind of saying something because I loved those other ones that I mentioned so much, but this one holds such a special place in my heart. And it's The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I loved this book so much. I tabbed it literally so much. Like, are you kidding me? I tabbed it a lot. And I loved it. It was incredible. It's my first book that I read from Sarah Adams, and then I binged her other books. I'm currently reading her backlist, and she's just incredible. I love this book. It was so good. It is like currently popular on Instagram, like Bookstagram and TikTok, and for good reason. It's so good. So basically, it is another one of those like celebrity / normal person tropes, but it's kind of different because they are friends. So basically it's about Bree and Nathan, and they were friends in high school. They kind of stopped talking during college and then reunited after college, and they are just best friends. I don't want to give too much away because I feel like the back of the book literally is describing what happens on page like 100, and I'm like, you're giving too much away. So that's all I'm going to say about it. But Nathan is an NFL player, which is how you get the like celebrity aspect, and Bree is in ballet. She teaches ballet. It was so cute. Friends to lovers, sports romance, which I didn't know I was into, but I really enjoyed the sports aspect of this book. I thought it was super fun. Clearly, I gave it 5 stars, and I wrote in my notes, why didn't I read this sooner? I don't know. This book honestly is filled with everything happy in the world, like rainbows, ice cream, sunshine, all the things you want that are happy are put in this book. And I also really loved that we got Nathan's point of view, and funny you should ask, we did not get Gabe's point of view. Wait, I think at the end we did. At the very end we did get Gabe's point of view. Maybe we did get Gabe's point of view. Am I crazy? No, we definitely did not. Anyways. But you do get Nathan's point of view in this book, which I really loved. I love reading the guy's perspective, and I loved that you got to see like the flaws in each of them. I love a nice character development, but I also love like when people come to terms with like their flaws and realize, oh wait, this is okay. It's like okay that this is something that I struggle with. I don't know if that makes any sense, but love that. I also loved that there wasn't a huge conflict at the end. I feel like in romance books, it's like the same like storyline. Basically, like they like each other, they get together, there's conflict, and they break up and then they get back together. And I just don't like that. So I liked that there wasn't a huge conflict in this book. And I love like the friends to lovers, best friends to lovers, because I feel like they have a like really good foundation because they're already friends. Anyways, I gave 5 stars, obsessed with it. You need to read this book. Please go buy this immediately. And this started my train of reading Sarah Adams books. So first I read the 2 books in the It Happened in Charleston series. The first one is called The Match. This book was so cute. I gave it 4.75 stars, and that's because I couldn't say it was as good as The Cheat Sheet, but I really loved it. So basically it's about this girl named Evie, or Evie, I'm not sure how you say her name, but she works at a like dog service place. It's called Southern Service Paws. Evie has epilepsy, and she has a service dog that helps her with her seizures. And basically she meets with his client Jake and his daughter Sam to like match up Sam with a seizure assist dog because she also has epilepsy, which is such an interesting concept. I enjoyed reading about that, and I've really started to love the like single parent trope with a child. I think that's so fun to read. I just love that. It's so wholesome. I love the relationship between Evie, and Sam. That was so sweet. But this also has an age gap, kind of. I don't know if I consider an age gap, but they were like 7 years apart, so clearly that is an age gap, but I feel like that's not very much. It doesn't feel like that. It's really not even a like point in the book. It's just like mentioned a couple times that she's a little bit younger, but I think she's like 26 and he's 33 maybe, so like not really much of a difference. Also wrote that I shed some tears when reading this book. Like I said, I gave it 4.75 stars because I don't know if it was as good as the cheat sheet, but I really enjoyed it, and Sarah Adams can do no wrong. So Closed Door, all that kind of stuff, so highly recommend. The next one was The Enemy, and I gave this one 4.25 stars because it was kind of basically an enemies to lovers trope, which I've realized is not my favorite trope. I like when they're friends, and I feel like when they're enemies, it's like you don't like each other over literally nothing. Like you could just have a conversation and be like, oh wait, I actually don't hate you, it's because I like you. Like, and I just found that so annoying, so I don't really like enemies to lovers as much, so that's why I kind of gave it less of a rating. But if you like enemies to lovers, this would be a great book for you because it's as good as Sarah Adams' other books. So basically this book is about Jake's sister June, and basically she has this guy Ryan who she kind of had like a war with in high school. They didn't really get along, and she runs into him again at her best friend's wedding because he's the best man, she's the maid of honor. I really did enjoy this book. I thought it was so sweet. I thought Ryan was literally an angel. Like, he was so sweet, but I definitely think this is the situation of like, why do you not like each other? I don't get it. It seems pretty pointless. I did like how the book ended. I thought it was so sweet. And I love how Ryan like encouraged her in her insecurities. I just feel like every girl deserves a Ryan Henderson in their life. A guy like this, because he was just so sweet, encouraging her in her insecurities and just like lifting her up, and I just love that. And he also was so patient with her. I'm gonna give too much away. Anyways, 4.25 stars because I didn't like the enemies to lovers. I get kind of annoyed about it. I'm like, let's move on. But otherwise, really enjoyed it. Also Closed Door, rom-com, you know, the typical Sarah Adams vibe. Next, I read Addicted for Now by Kristen and Becca Ritchie. This is the third book in the Addicted series. I actually read like over 100 pages of this before I read Sarah Adams' books, and then I finished it after I finished those books, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I feel like this book, you really get to like the drama, and I really enjoyed that. And also I feel like the character development in this book of Lily and Lo, like, are you serious? You also really get more into the sisters a little bit, which makes me excited for the next books. And the drama was just really fun. If you like Gossip Girl, you would like the series. I gave it 4.5 stars because I feel like the other books are just gonna get better. Like, I can imagine the other Addicted books are gonna be so good, and I'm so excited. The bond between Lo and Reich that grows in this book, oh my goodness, it was so sweet. And the way that Lily and Lo help each other in their addictions, because in the first books you're kind of seeing them struggle with it, and I feel like in the third book you're getting more like them like conquering their addiction. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a good book. It's like 500 pages, so pretty long compared to the first two, but it was so good. And specifically Lo, at the end of the book, you just see he is such a good guy, and he just continually grows throughout the books, and I loved that. I love good character development. And the found family aspect, I love that too. It's just so good. I'm gonna shut up about that because we have one book left and I'm losing my voice. The last book I read was The Off Limits Rule by Sarah Adams. This is the first book in the It Happened in Nashville series. I'm currently reading the second one, but I didn't finish it obviously in July. And basically it's about this girl named Lucy, and she is a single mom, and she has just recently moved back from Georgia to Nashville and lives with her brother Drew, her and her son, and she meets her brother's best friend. So you get that brother's best friend aspect trope, and I love that. I didn't realize I loved that until I read this book, and I thought it was so cute. I actually gave this book 5 stars because I had no complaints about it. Like, when I think about the book, there was nothing that I wish was different, which means I need to give it 5 stars. I don't know if it beats the cheat sheet, but I do think it deserves a 5-star rating. And I loved the single mom aspect, and the brother's best friend Cooper is so sweet. He's such a nice guy. I just love how Sarah Adams writes. People are just like such stand-up people, like really nice people, and you just like really just can't help but fall in love with the characters because they're just so kind. I loved how it ended because it ends where the next book begins, but the next book is from a different point of view, so I liked that a lot, and I was just a big fan. So as you can tell, Sarah Adams was the queen of this reading wrap-up because all her books are so good. I want to finish all of them, but I think a couple of them are historical romances, so I'm not sure about that, but all these rom-coms are so good, and she has a new one coming out in September, and I'm so excited. But anyways, that is all the books that I read in July. I love talking about books, and I love recapping all the books that I read each month. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to subscribe. I post every Tuesday and Saturday here on YouTube, and I would love for you to stick around. You can also follow me on Instagram. I post fun stuff over there, and I have a book Instagram where I post reviews, reels, stories, all the things about books, it's over there. And I'm just so thankful for you. Thank you so much for watching. Comment what you read in July and what you're excited to read in August. I would love to hear, but I think that's it. So I'll see you very soon for my next video. Bye.